Welcome back to Graceful Art Designs, everyone. Today I'm going to be painting something different, although you have seen me painting a number of them before. It's another painting of the New Jerusalem, and this time I've covered the canvas in different shapes and different colours, in bold, bright colours. I covered one canvas in rather big shapes, so they're tiny canvases, 20 by 20, and the other one I realised I wanted smaller shapes, so I did them like that. This one I started off with a palette knife, and then they started getting blurred and colours started blending, so then I had to go back to the brush. So I've decided that what I want to do is I want to do one of them in the pearlescent gold, because the pearlescent gold is a lovely soft gold. It's nicer than the metallic gold, and I think it'll look nice over the big colours, because that will help the gold to shine through more. I mean, if I did it over the small colours, then I wouldn't want to cover the colours. So instead I'm going to do white over the small colours, and just to do an outline of white of small houses, although not as small as the shapes, so that the houses will sort of incorporate more than one colour. So I'll start with this one, and I'm going to have to first outline the houses with a gold marker pen, because to try and paint straight lines straight on the canvas without a line to guide me is a little bit impossible. So that's what I'm going to do now, and then I'll bring you back in. This is the design I've drawn onto the one canvas, the one with a big patchwork colourful background. I thought perhaps God had a sense of humour, and maybe instead of all the serene colours I've been painting, maybe it's going to be something really wild and colourful, and colours we've never seen before, and just dazzling. The New Jerusalem, whether it's on earth or in heaven, or spiritual New Jerusalem. So, as I said, I'm only making wild guesses. Maybe we'll see whatever colours we want to see. Anyway, I was inspired by a fellow artist, Wendy Brightbull, who paints all her canvases in multicoloured colours, a patchwork of colours, and then she paints on with a palette knife, and she mainly paints flowers. And I thought that might be an interesting idea. Maybe the houses will be shaped like flowers, like roses in the New Jerusalem, but I don't think I'm going to try that here. So now I'm going to paint with the pearlescent gold on this canvas and see how that turns out. I haven't decided whether I'm going to just do the outlines or whether I'm going to do the inner part. But one way or the other, if I do the inner part pearlescent gold, then I'm going to leave the background in this multicoloured hue. I'm also testing the idea that you need to do like pearlescent gold on yellow, or pearlescent green on green, or black, or a darker colour. Now I'm doing it on a mixed bunch of colours and seeing what the result is. Now the first layer probably isn't going to be very bright. I've decided I'm going to just do the walls in the gold. I've done the outline in this gold acrylic marker. So I must say I like the mixture of the colours. Once you draw an outline around them, they do look quite interesting. So that's what I'm going to do. And like I said, while the paint is wet and the first layer, you're not going to see much. But by the time it's dry, and by the time I get to the second or third layer, we should be seeing a light gold all over. And whether it will also reflect the colours underneath, I don't know, possibly. And that will also be interesting. I mean, I don't mind either way. So I'm just looking forward to a different result. And I probably will need a smaller brush for the smaller houses. As I decided that I was going to try and do them a little bit more in perspective. So the first house is bigger, the second house is further away, smaller, and that one's even further away, it's even smaller. So now I'll do the floor on top in the pearlescent gold, but I forgot to put the balustrades on there. I particularly like this design of the house. flat roof. Although while I was painting, I thought maybe I should do one with a thatched roof. Maybe not everything will be the same. Maybe each house will be completely unique. All kinds of possibilities. Anyway, if I had my way, I'd probably want a nice Georgian house. Or a thatched roof, a little cottage with a thatched roof. And white walls. Anyway, I'll bring you back when I've done some more. On this painting, I have sketched in 3 houses with a gold acrylic marker. One very large one in the front with like a second and third story, and 2 small ones at the back. Now, obviously, there are going to be many more houses than that in the New Jerusalem, but just a sample of what I think it might look like. So I'm going to do the walls in white. I thought of doing it with a there's so many ways I thought of doing it, honestly. I just had a hard time deciding on which way to do it. So I thought of doing it with a palette knife and then making just like rough chunks of white, because it would work on this now that I've covered it with acrylic. But then I thought, I don't know, I really want something that's refined and beautiful. But of course, beautiful according to our standards, our physical, human standards, may be very difficult, maybe very different to God's standards. So I don't know. And also, I don't really like the way the acrylic comes out compared to the oil. Originally, I had thought to do it with the palette knife and with oil, and maybe that would have been better. But I can't do every possible combination. I mean, I could, but I'll be here forever. So for now, I'm going to settle on this, and at a later stage, I might decide if I like it that much. I might come back and do it with oil and a palette knife. But I think this will look pretty over all these colours, because I'm going to leave the colours in the windows and in the door and in the balustrades around the rooftop and in the background. So the garden, the little gardens can be just multicoloured, different coloured grasses or flowers or whatever you want to see in them. So as you can see, the gold at the bottom, well, it's actually pearlescent yellow, but it turns out gold. So this one I've done 2 layers and it's looking nice. These have only each got 1 layer, and with the 1 layer you can still see the colours underneath. This one, you can see the colours underneath, but not so much. But it depends whether you see it in the light or how it's going to be when it's completely dry. When a light shines on it, you might still see some of the colour underneath. Anyway, and the tree, well, it's supposedly a palm tree, but this brush was kind of spreading the paint out rather much more than I wanted. And I don't have green to make green leaves, so I'm going to just make some purple pearlescent leaves. And then I'll come back and do another layer of gold on there. So, see how these turn out. This paint is quite a different texture, quite slippery compared to the other Amsterdam paints. And these paints don't come with any instructions, so when they designed them, I have no idea what they designed them for. Did they design them only for acrylic pours? Or what was the purpose? It would be nice if they had some instructions with them. Okay, have they tried them out in their laboratories? Because they are very different texture to the other Amsterdam paints. So you can see I'm trying to make leaves. I wouldn't say very successfully, but we'll see. It's just not picking up now. I'll try down here. Well, what's going to happen is that I'm going to have very textured leaves if it sticks up like that. So, anyway, so that's how the gold has turned out, and that's how the white has turned out. So, let's say I like the white more, and I like the colourful background. I think it's just a fun sort of painting. So I'll bring you back when they're both completed. This is the finished painting of the pearlescent paints, and I've used 3 layers of gold, and you can see it does shine. It will probably shine more at night. On this one I decided to go for the pearlescent violet, and even though I went over the gold with it, it's showing more gold than violet, although there is a bit of violet there. And the outer border I did in violet, and that's clearly violet. I think it's always nicer than the gold. And then the tree is a mixture. I might still add a bit more violet to the tree when it's completely dry. But I like the multicolored background, and I like the multicolored background in the white. Of the two, I prefer the white, and I could do another layer of white to make it a bit more smooth and satiny finished, but it's okay as it is. And I have used multicolored backgrounds in other paintings before, but normally there are pastel colors, and normally they're kind of blended into the main painting covers most of it, so you don't really see it. Whereas this, I'm actually leaving them in the background as part of the painting because I think it's so pretty and it's so different and it's so interesting. Just like with the acrylic pours, where I've sometimes left part of the background in the subject, the main subject, and some of it in the background, and sometimes deleted the background and just left it in the subject, or the other way around. So there's room for all different uses of background colors. But I think in these, they probably would also have looked nice if I had just left the houses in the colors and painted away the background. Like if I'd left the houses in all the multicolors and then painted the background green, with like green grass in between, that would also have looked nice. So that's painting for another day. So many options. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it's given you some ideas, and you can see how different colors, whether pearlescent or metallic or just plain, white, can have different effects, and all have their own charm and their own dynamism, and also the way they interact with one another. I think the white, for example, interacts with the multicolored background better almost than the pearlescent, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, please like and comment. Your comments are valuable to me. I would love to hear what you think and what you would like me to paint in the future, if anything in these kind of colors. So bye for now.